When it comes to Disney's live-action remakes, they tend to fall flat in terms of how a proper remake is supposed to be made. Instead of improving upon the original movies and making them better, the remakes only serve to be pointless shot-by-shot cash grabs that only cashes in on nostalgia value. However, the only movie that took everyone by surprise, including myself, was the 2016 Jungle Book remake. While the original movie was good in its own right, the remake vastly improved upon the story while also having visually gorgeous CGI. But there's one other Disney animated movie that I won't mind being adapted into a live-action remake. It will probably be on the most underwhelming movie ever made.
What do you mean, dude? The Black Cauldron?
Nope. I'm talking about the 1941 animated Disney movie, Dumbo. While people regard this movie as a
Hey, wait, hold on one second. What do you mean underwhelming? Dumbo is an absolute classic. It's short, granted, but it's still a classic nonetheless.
Yeah, it's kind of a classic, but at the same time, it's a little bit overrated. I just feel like the movie is so overhyped by now that a lot of people seem to overlook the few glaring problems that this movie actually has.
Oh, come on. I know there's no such thing as a perfect movie, but that doesn't mean Dumbo can't be the exception to this rule, can it?
Wanna find out?
Sure, why not? I got time to spare.
Good. Anyway, this is 1941's Dumbo. Alright, so the movie opens with a bunch of storks,
None of which are played by Andy Samberg.
thank God, as they drop off a load of baby animals at a nearby circus.
However, one of the packages seems to come a bit later than usual as a mother elephant anxiously waits for her newborn son. I'm guessing that the other animals had 2 days free shipping on Amazon Prime.
She eventually receives the baby elephant through a bumbling stork played by Sterling Holloway.
Which is also the same stork from Lambert, the sheepish lion.
Man, even before Disney bought out Marvel, they were making shared universes. So the mother discovers that the baby has larger-than-life ears, which causes the other elephants to cruelly tease them for having.
And the teasing also doesn't get that much better when the baby is unveiled to the public. In fact, one kid goes as far as to physically harass Dumbo, and as a result, he gets the booty whipping that he rightfully deserves. So Dumbo is taken away by the faceless bodyguards where he meets a mouse named Timothy, who, believe it or not, did not escape from Nin. Though he still might have been a friend of Mrs. Brisby, I have no idea.
The two seem to strike up an interesting friendship, as Timothy agrees to take care of the baby elephant until his mother has full custody of him, and it's at this point where the story goes all over the place, most of which are comprised of certain events where Dumbo becomes the butt of the joke after screwing up a circus act.
However, we do get a heartbreaking scene where we see Dumbo reunite with his mother after being locked away in a cage. This scene is very emotional to watch, and the song that's being played over it, which is known as Baby Mine, is a perfect match for the mood that this scene is going for.
This scene really pulls on your heartstrings, but at the same time, it is really sweet seeing these two together. Wait a minute. Are you crying?
Who, me? I'm not crying. You're crying. This whole audience is crying.
Anyway, as Timothy and Dumbo make their way back to the tent, one of the clowns accidentally drops a bottle of booze in the drinking water, which causes them to hallucinate.
This leads into the most famous part of the movie, Pink Elephants on Parade. And as much as I enjoy this musical number for its bizarre imagery, I kind of feel like it's incredibly pointless of a plot. To me, it just feels like some sort of lost scene that was deleted from Fantasia. Either way, this scene is just a joy to watch, especially from an animation perspective.
Anyway, we see the duo waking up on top of a tree, where they come across a bunch of crows with stereotypical accents. So stereotypical, in fact, that people have been debating for years whether or not they're meant to be extremely racist.
Personally, I thought the crows were just fine the way they were, though I can see how some people might find them racially insensitive. But other than their accents, there's nothing much to classify them as horribly racist.
But hey, it could be worse. Could be like Disney's other infamous work.
So Timothy concludes that Dumbo flew up into the tree, but the crows completely dismiss the thought of flying elephants. It's at this point where Timothy finally has enough of this crap, and he goes off on a little rant.
You ought to be ashamed of yourselves. A bunch of big guys like you. Picking on a poor little orphan like him.
But wait, isn't an orphan supposed to have dead parents instead of having live parents? I mean, his mother is still alive and breathing, Timothy. How can he possibly be an orphan? Anyway, the crows believe in his little sap story as they decide to help Dumbo achieve his dreams of flying.
So they give Dumbo the confidence to conquer his fears, and he successfully performs a circus act while getting some sweet revenge. Man, that is so satisfying.
So in the end, Dumbo becomes the talk of the town, or the big top in this case, and he finally reunites with his mother. So that was Disney's animated classic, Dumbo. And even though I like this movie, I must admit that it's not as good as what people make it out to be. I just feel like Dumbo would have worked a lot better if it was a silly sympathy short as opposed to a full-length feature. Most of the movie is full of filler moments. It focuses more on everything but the main character himself, and it just feels like the movie is just stretched out a lot more to fit a longer runtime. But at the same time, it's a harmless little Disney film that has its own unique charm.
Even though the movie is short in length, I still think Dumbo is held up pretty flippin' well. The pacing is solid, the characters are well defined, it has a nice mix of heart, humor, and craziness, emphasis on crazy, and it's just lighthearted enough for kids to enjoy while also being entertaining for adults as well.
And while we're still on the subject of talking about Dumbo, we might as well give our thoughts about the upcoming remake that is coming out later this March. I feel like this movie is perfectly ripe for a live-action Disney makeover. While other Disney live-action remakes try to rehash the original source material, I feel like there's a golden opportunity to improve upon the story and make it better. As long as they remake Dumbo the same way they remade The Jungle Book, then we'll be in tip-top shape.
Well, I myself am optimistic about the remake as well. As long as it carries the same heart as the original film, I feel like it would be a fun and enjoyable ride to sit through. And if it turns out to be like the Alice in Wonderland movies, or should I say the Alice in Underland films, then our hopes of other future Disney remakes will be completely down the drain.
Well, thank you for joining me, Bambi Man.
Hey, the pleasure is all mine, dude. Thanks for having me. This was actually quite the fun circus to revisit, I must say.
Sure was, Brandon. It sure was.
Well, anyway, I'm the Bambi Man and he's the Critical Kid, and we're reminding you to take care of yourselves, and we'll see you next time in the center of the ring.